The night was calm over the Tyrrhenian Sea, the kind of night sailors pray for. The Costa Concordia, one of the most luxurious cruise ships ever built, glided smoothly across the dark waters off the coast of Italy. On board, 4,200 souls laughed, danced, and drank under crystal chandeliers, unaware that their paradise would soon turn into a nightmare. It was January 13th, 2012, a Friday. The Concordia was a floating palace, 13 decks high, twice the size of the Titanic, with swimming pools, restaurants, theaters, and 1,000 glittering lights. Captain Francesco Schettino stood proud, charming his crew and passengers. He loved attention, fame, and the admiration that came with commanding such a massive ship. That evening, Schettino decided to give the passengers something special, a close sail-by salute near the tiny island of Giglio. It was meant to impress. He wanted the people on shore to see the mighty ship glowing against the dark horizon, and maybe to hear the music of its horn echo across the water. But in the world of the sea, pride is often the first sin. At 9:45 p.m., passengers heard a deep groaning sound, like the sea itself was crying out. Then came the shudder. Plates slid off tables. Glasses crashed. Lights flickered. The ship had struck a hidden reef, slicing open a 70-meter-long gash along its hull. Cold seawater surged in like a beast unleashed. Within minutes, the grand vessel began to list to one side, a slow, unnatural tilt that made the chandeliers sway like pendulums. Panic spread through the corridors. Families clung to each other. Crew members whispered in fear, unsure what had just happened. The loudspeakers blared, "Electrical fault. Please remain calm." But calm was impossible. Captain Schettino knew the truth. They were sinking. Yet he hesitated. He didn't want to admit failure. He didn't call for evacuation. He didn't even tell the Coast Guard how bad it was. Minutes turned into an hour. The ship tilted further. People were falling down hallways now, slipping on broken glass, screaming in the dark. Elevators stopped working. Emergency lights flickered like dying fireflies. When the Coast Guard finally called, asking, "Do you need assistance?" Schettino lied. "Just a power failure," he said. But by then, the Costa Concordia was dying. At 10:30 p.m., the order was finally given. Abandon ship. Too late. The lifeboats on one side couldn't even be lowered. The ship was leaning too far. Passengers rushed to the upper decks, crying, praying, slipping into the icy night. The sound of the sea crashing against the hull drowned out the chaos. Some people jumped into the water, vanishing beneath the black waves. Others clung to rails, frozen with terror. A woman screamed, "My children!" "Where are my children?" An old man whispered, "It's like the Titanic." And someone shouted, "The captain is gone!" They were right. As the ship continued to list, Captain Schettino had already escaped, sneaking into a lifeboat with a few others. The man who was supposed to be the last to leave had abandoned ship while hundreds were still trapped inside. On the radio, a furious Coast Guard officer shouted, "Get back on board, Captain!" "That's an order." But the captain never did. His voice trembled with excuses. He watched from a distance as the ship, his ship, slowly sank into darkening. By midnight. The Costa Concordia was lying on its side, half submerged near the island's rocky shore. The once bright decks were dark, twisted, and silent. The screams had faded. Only the sound of the waves remained, relentless, merciless. Rescue boats searched through the wreckage, pulling out survivors who had clung to life for hours. Some were found in air pockets, breathing in the dark. Others were never found at all. 32 people lost their lives that night. Some drowned. Some were crushed. Some simply disappeared into the sea. When dawn came, the islanders of Giglio woke to a horrifying sight, the massive ship lying on its side like a wounded beast frozen in time. The smell of oil and salt filled the air. Helicopters circled overhead, and among the wreckage floated shoes, suitcases, and photographs, fragments of lives that would never be the same. For months, the wreck remained there, a rusting reminder of arrogance, fear, and failure. Divers described the inside as a tomb of silence. Cabins still decorated, dinner tables still set, children's toys floating in dark corridors. The sea had claimed what was hers. Captain Schettino was arrested. He claimed he had fallen into a lifeboat by accident, but the world knew the truth. He was sentenced to prison for abandoning his ship and his passengers. The Costa Concordia was eventually lifted from the seabed and dismantled. But even now, sailors whisper that the sea near Giglio feels different, colder, heavier. Locals say that on quiet nights, you can still hear faint music drifting from the water, like the echo of a party that ended too soon. In the end, the real horror wasn't the sea. It was human pride, panic, and the silence that followed.